Hi everyone, I'm Ryan. Welcome back to my garage. Didn't get a lot of time at the weekend that's just passed, so this is going to be sort of a slightly late midweek special. But I have received deliveries I was waiting for. So I think in the last upload I said I was waiting for a full gasket set. I've received that, so in the near future I can get on with completing the engine build for the other bike. I've also received a set of decals for this bike, so I'm going to get those out, check them, and see if we can get the paintwork ready to accept these. So that's probably what I'm going to concentrate on today. I've also bought myself some Rust-Oleum direct to vinyl. So my intention for this is to try and clean this seat up, because it's not torn, it's good, but it just looks faded and grey. I've tried cleaning it, that made no effect. I'm hoping this is going to improve it a little. So with that said, let me get on, let me get the seat off, get the back off, start getting this ready. So hopefully it will look much better at the end of the upload. Let's see. Right, first thing I'm going to do is just clean it all up. Some solvent, some tissue. Just give it a good clean all over with some solvent. Make sure there's no grease, oils, dust. Try and get it as clean as I can. Okay, so this is the product I'm going to be using, and it specifically says it's ideal for car seats, upholstery, and the directions talk about it's actually designed specifically to be flexible on vinyl, and how you can actually use it on seats. So it's meant to contain the actual paint and the resins that are used from manufacturer. It says apply several light coats a couple of minutes apart. So I'm going to start shaking this now. When I think it's ready, I'll start applying some coats and see how we get on. Try another couple of coats of that. Okay, so there's the cowling that I've just started rubbing back down again. So my issue here is that it's okay, but it's not as good as it could be. And having achieved a really good finish on the tank, I don't want this to let me down. And so what I've done is I've just looked at my old drawing, my photos, to see where the decals go. And obviously it runs along here, it runs along there, and it covers this bit up here. But this lip and this central bit here, there, is all exposed. So I want to get that as good as I possibly can. And so for that reason, I'm just going back to 1500 grit. I'm going to loads of water, keep getting it down, get it as smooth as I possibly can, go for a better finish, and see if I can get that to something which I'm happy with, because at the moment it's okay, but it's not as good as the tank. So I'm going to try and continue to improve that. Okay, so that's now the finish that I've got on that section there, which I'm pretty happy with. That's improving, but I've gone down through the paint slightly. That's not a problem. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to respray it anyway, so I'm just making sure it's as prepared as I possibly can get it. Now I'm going to let it just get dry properly whilst I cut the grass, and then I'll come back and put some top coat on it again. Okay, so set another quick top coat, and it's not right yet, but we'll let that harden off, go for a lacquer, and then try cutting that back. Cool. Okay, we'll leave these now overnight to properly harden off. That's touch dry, but it reckons it's fully dry in 24 hours. That I'm going to leave overnight and lacquer up tomorrow. So for today, that will do. Back in the morning. So it's the next morning, and I was really quite pleased with the results, and I thought to myself, I'm just going to put some clear lacquer on it to seal it in. And it went horribly wrong. The clear lacquer has dissolved the paint. You couldn't make this stuff up. I am clearly destined not to get a good result on this paintwork. Do not use this stuff on top of that. This has been hardening for 36 hours. And one application of this, and it's just come straight off. Right, okay. So I've got to wait for this to harden, rub it all back again, and start again for the third time. I will not be putting lacquer on top this time round. Okay, another 24 hours later, this is all hardened off. What a bloody mess. Well, at this point you would have worked out why the video didn't get launched as a midweek update. So, next thing, take all this off. I'm going to start with 800 grit and just get it back to smooth. And we'll try again. Attempt number 3. Okay, I've cleaned it up and rubbed it all the way back. That all feels nice and smooth now. So, dry it off, get some primer on it, and see how it looks once it's back in one colour. Okay, so first pass, just with high build primer. There's a little bit more work needed down there, a little bit more here, but more importantly I've got that there that dried and cracked, so I need to rub that back, make sure there's no contaminants there, and give that another go. Okay, well, not bad anyway for first attempt. Okay, so getting back to the engine for the Scrambler, I need to continue to reassemble it, and first thing I need to do before I can think about using any of the gasket set is I need to remove all this old gasket that's still on the case, and that's going to be a laborious job because it seems pretty damn stuck. So I'll try getting something hard, plastic, and scrape it all off and clean it all up. Then I'll concern myself with tightening all this and finally putting it together. So yeah, I've got a bit of time today, so let's make a slow, steady start on this, see how far we can get. Okay, so I've very carefully cleaned off all the old gasket, cleaned it all up, got that mating surface as smooth and as clean as I possibly can. So I think that aspect's done. I can refit the oil pressure switch, which I just took out to get clear access to this area up here. And I think the next thing I need to work out is how to torque up this nut here for the clutch. So I've got the tool I made a week or so ago. I need to find a way to lock the basket so that when I'm tightening it, this isn't all going to move. I've got an idea for that, so let me see if I can dig that out of my tool stash and try and work out how tight I need to tighten it as well, because I haven't found that yet. So let me research that. Yeah, so by putting these bolts in with the washers, that's pulled the whole clutch mechanism tight as if it's in drive, but without this in the way. So now I can secure the whole basket and that's not going to try and rotate. Okay, so I'm going to try and use this mechanism here, designed primarily for oil filters, to lock the clutch itself, and then my torque wrench on this bolt here. Now, from what I found, it seems I need to get up to about 80 Newton meters of torque, which is pretty damn heavy. Come on. Oh, jeez, I can't do that. Right, I need to secure this engine more tightly. That wasn't tight enough. Okay, well, it's working, but I need to do it tighter. So, okay, I'll carry on with that. I'm going to start applying some colour now. So that is as much prep as I can possibly do. And to me, that looks pretty reasonable. So hopefully it'll be alright once there's some colour applied to it. So, I'm going to start that process now. So, another little sticking point. I was getting to the point whereby I was preparing the case to be put back on and thinking about cleaning it up before I did so. And then I realised, looking inside the case, when you operate the clutch, whilst turning that lever there rotates the inner spindle, there's nothing protruding from here to push against the clutch, which means I'm missing something. I reckon there's a push rod or something that comes out of there that I don't have. So if I put this on now and seal it up, I'm not going to have any clutch, because there's no possible way of there being a clutch, or I'm completely missing something. So I'll have to research that and try and find the part and source it. Yeah, okay, another little sticking point, but that's the challenge of trying to build these things. Oh well, hopefully it won't hold me up too long. And it seems that that's the part I need. Rod clutch lifter. And the issue is, this one is not in stock, so I'll try and find some. I think the next thing I need to do, whilst I'm waiting to get the clutch push rod and an oil dipstick, start cleaning up this case. It's crusty, and I think it should clean up well enough. I think ultimately I'm going to paint it, but it certainly needs to be a lot cleaner before that could be considered. So let me get some wire brushes out, see what happens. So after the first passing with the wire brush, now I'm going to use some wool, hands, a bit of time, try and just get into all these nooks and crannies, see if we can't clean this off a bit and get them looking at something a little bit more cared for. Well, there's the cover with a very quick clean up, but just offered in place. It's not bolted on yet, and I've got those bits missing. But I've attached the oil pressure sender, and when I get the bits, it should be a fairly simple job of bolting it up. So I haven't started cleaning up the block itself yet. That's still quite grimy, but okay, some progress made, but a bit more to go. There we are, and that's where I'm going to have to finish up. Back to where I have been multiple times before. Finish is okay, still needs improvement, but it's damn sight better than all melted and lumpy. So, decals next. got them waiting. I've got a full set available for the bike, and I'm hoping I can fit them. So once that has hardened off, I'll try and finish it up and then fit it. That's me out of time again this week, but please do like, subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon.